this so? Why is it that in other parts of the world this freedom is there? Not here. In fact, if for example you started taking a course in engineering, you wanted to become a physicist, let's say, or a historian, you find that it's not possible to do it in India. You would in fact have to go abroad. And there are many distinguished Indians who have done just that, because the freedom is not there. Now, as science grows more and more interdisciplinary, this problem becomes worse and worse. Because the heart of science and technology usually emerges from the fault lines between the different disciplines. And in fact, the most interesting things happen when people from different disciplines get together. I'm not saying anything new, everybody knows it. But that need is not directly addressed by the universities that we have today. And actually some exposure to social sciences is also very necessary. Now, in a poll taken some years ago in the United States, a group of engineering leaders were asked, which is the course in your undergraduate years that has had the most lasting impact on you? Well, I want you to take a guess about what that course was. The one which got the highest votes was the course on the history of technology. Not fluid mechanics, not heat transfer, not structural mechanics. Why is that so? That's because that course gave the young person the feel for what the structure of the profession was, how knowledge develops, how technology develops. And the one thing you learn from there is related to the point that O'Brien made, is how often an idea which we consider now obvious and use it, when it was first proposed, was rejected as absurd. The number of cases where accurate ideas have been rejected as absurd is not small. It takes a few years, sometimes decades, and occasionally even centuries, before people say, yes, that idea was great. Now how come we didn't realize it earlier? So what is today considered in practice may, of course of time, be embraced by people and seen as almost obvious or great. So we must be able to take risks with our ideas. If we are convinced, you are convinced, you must be able to take risks with your ideas. And the university must teach you how to do that. Talking about social scientists, all of us know about Steve Jobs, who passed away, and many of us use those elegant and convenient contraptions he made, computers, pads, phones, and so on. He once wanted to find out, he was very dissatisfied with the kind of manuals that his engineers were writing. He got out of the social scientist and said, can you tell me how a manual should be written for whatever is being, let's say the iPad. And the social scientist said, you're starting at the wrong end of the business. What you should do is first to get somebody like me, who is not an expert in computers, to write a manual. Then your engineers should be able to make devices so that this manual is applicable to them. That's the way to make it most convenient. So I'm trying to tell you that ideas can come from anywhere, and we should always be on the lookout for them. I wish our universities similarly could experiment a great deal more. In a country which is as diverse as India is, so many languages, so many cultures, so many cuisines, so many different things to eat in different parts of the country. It seems absurd to me that we want to make one standard pattern for the university for everybody. I would suggest the opposite. Let many different kinds of universities grow. Let's see which ones people actually like. Let's see whether we need a standard curriculum. Sooner or later people will find out what actually is needed, is in demand, and the situation will settle down. How do we make great universities? Well, I had good fortune to work in two great universities. One was the California Institute of Technology and the other one was Cambridge. And you can't imagine two places which are so unlike each other. California Institute of Technology has been rated by the British, by the Times, London Times, as university number 1 in the world, 3 successive years. Cambridge has often been number 2, sometimes number 1. But you can't find two places different from each other. Caltech is a small place. less than 100 years old, but has done extremely well. 1,000 students, undergraduate, 1,000 students, postgraduate. Cambridge has been there for 800 years. It occupies a whole township. You can do anything there from string theory to Buddhist art. We need both kinds of universities. So, we need a great variety in all kinds of universities. How do we make great universities? I think there are a few points which are easily stated. But it's not easy to implement in our country. So, however, it's easy to state. The first and foremost thing is you must get the best faculty you can. All great universities may differ in their size, in their philosophy, in the breadth of options available, but they will all agree on one thing: get the best faculty you can. If you can't do that, you'll never make a great university. Distinguished leadership at the top. But the third thing is very important. You must combine undergraduate teaching with research. See, not too many universities do that. Well, BESU does that. But it's very important that undergraduate teaching must go with research. Why? If you look at how ordinary, from most universities, young people who come out have done their degree, they usually mug up from what is in their textbooks, and quite often university exams are such that this will get them good marks. But that's not the way science is. If you wanted to understand how science and engineering are progressing, you must first of all know that what those books contain may have many things which are wrong. They certainly do not contain what you do not know. They tell you what is supposed to be known, but they never tell you what is not known. If you want to know what is not known, this is a very important part of education, you must have people who are doing research. Because in research, you constantly find out the things which are wrong. And people are doing, spending a fair part of their life to see that there's some inconsistency in what's now being taught in the university. And those are the ones which lead to game-changing ideas and disruptive technologies. So, it's very important that the undergraduate years must have a combination of research in the faculty, research in the students, and research or development of projects among the undergraduates. Everybody, we grossly underestimate the potential of our students. I think students want to be challenged, and if challenged, they will actually be able to meet them. So there are many other things that are said here in this book, but let me end. How can we make a scheme for, let's say, some of the greatest universities in the world in our country? Now, one way is to encourage the universities, the best universities today, to attempt greatness along, let's say, the lines that I've described. As in fact has happened in the case of BESU, when it becomes the Indian Institute of Engineering, Science and Technology. Maybe instead, or in addition, we should set up a few Indian national universities. We're very good at setting up Indian institutes of X, Y, and Z in this country. There's a lot of experience. Maybe we should once set up a few Indian national universities. Or maybe some of the many specialized institutes we have, Indian Institutes of Technology, Science, and so on, be encouraged to be more broadly based. Maybe we should get more billionaires, new billionaires in the country, to take greater interest in education, as in fact happened in the first half of the 20th century. All of that, I think, is possible. We must make up our mind that it is important. Even more, we must realize that it is actually very important. Because if we don't do that, I think that the prospects for India to be a competitive world, a competitive university on the world stage are not great. In 1955, there was a finance minister who asked an American economist, Milton Friedman, to come to India and make a report about what India should do. He was actually not very well known at that time, so we must give great credit to that finance minister. He won the Nobel Prize some 15 years later. He wrote a short report. And the first paragraph of his report says, the untapped scientific and technical knowledge, the untapped scientific and technical knowledge available for the taking in your country, is the economic equivalent of the untapped continent, my country, that she said United States had 150 years ago. All of the West was there. What we had at that time, you won't have, because this country has been there for a very long time. But what you have, which we didn't have, is all the extraordinary people. So those extraordinary people are here. And so, I want to say that I wish the university and the Vice Chancellor all success in his ambitious plans for the IIE. And I wish each student here a wonderful career in whatever he or she chooses to do. Good luck.
Thank you, Professor. Now, on behalf of the University, the Chancellor is requested to present a memento to the Chief Guest and to the Guest of Honor. The Chancellor will present a memento to the Guest of Honor and to the Chief Guest. The Chancellor will now present a memento to the Guest of Honor. Now, the Vice Chancellor is requested to present a memento to the Chancellor.
I declare the convocation closed.
Please rise for the national anthem.
हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तब शुभ नामे जागे तब शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तब जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे
auditorium.
এখানে নামলে চলবে না এখন হচ্ছে ওটা উপর দিকে চলে গেছিল ওটা নেমে গেছিল একদম করে গেছিল
এই এটা ক্যারি করে নিয়ে এসো না সঙ্গে এটা ক্যারি করে নিয়ে এসো সঙ্গে
ফোকাস চেঞ্জ হবে ফোকাস ফিলিং করবো নাকি আর না আর ফোকাস কিছু বলেছি চল ফোকাস না ছেড়ে না ছেড়ে না ব্যাটারি
এই কি হলো টোটাল নাম্বার অফ কাউন্টস হ্যাঁ বাই চান্স পড়লে জানো কি হবে আমার ক্যামেরাটা লাগানো আছে ভাই ক্ষমা করো প্লিজ
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
না না